welcome. This is Dr. Ariel Policano with our weekly class about resonance biofeedback. And this is something I'm going to be talking to everyone about in a different video, but we are going to be focusing this year on calling it resonance biofeedback. Resonance biofeedback, which truly represents what it is. It's not regular biofeedback, and we can do long distance sessions. So we want to be sure to define our biofeedback as it is, which is resonance biofeedback or bioresonance biofeedback, which means it can be done without someone being connected to a set of wires, because we all understand the principles of the quantum universe, that space and time, separation, these things don't really exist, and we're able to demonstrate that with the technology. Let me just go ahead and turn this off so I can bring up the client record. So what biofeedback is all about is, okay, I have that up there. Biofeedback is really a learning process, learning about yourself or learning about your client. It's an investigation. And we have a wonderful tool for investigating called the Genius Insight. I have a few new websites, so you can go to, well, one new website, geniusbiofeedback.com, and I'm going to put that down in the chat area. So if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, that is my website where you can find more information, and you can send your prospects to learn more information. I'm setting up some really wonderful articles about what the genius is and about what biofeedback is. And you can go and search those out online at geniusbiofeedback.com, and they can download the trial there. So it's a wonderful resource, and it's just easier for people to find. They're thinking about the genius, they're thinking about biofeedback. So you can go to geniusbiofeedback.com. I did have a problem with it over the weekend, and it was down temporarily, but now it's back up. So if you had any problems loading the website, it is up and running. Thank goodness. So, of course, I still have my website, Awaken Total Health. We can just look at both for a second here. If you, let's see, can't move, there we go. Okay, yeah, so this is geniusbiofeedback.com, and you can read really about the genius. This is actually a really helpful article for people who are new to go and read what is the genius, or look here, you can download the 14-day trial. So this will really be helpful in addition to my Awaken site, which is still totally valid and still totally up there. But I think for new people who are really interested in the Genius software, this will be really helpful. Also, remember, I'm going to be in San Diego, and I will have registration links soon. I'm going to be there in in the beginning of May for a 3-day class, both beginners and advanced. I'll explain all of that, but it's going to be the first weekend in May in San Diego. We have a lovely place arranged to have the class right near the water. So it'll be absolutely fantastic. And then next week, we have Dr. Carolyn Mine joining us for a class in the evening. So that's going to be at 7 p.m. And we're going to be learning, it's a free introductory class to a deeper dive that we are going to take into the world of essential oils and emotions. So if you're interested in essential oils and you're interested in emotions, you will want to hear from Dr. Carolyn Mine, who is so brilliant in her insights into the human condition. Now, the free class is next week at 7 p.m. And many of you have registered. I will send the registration again today. It's completely free. And then we'll be doing a 4-part class that you will certainly want to join if you want to learn more about how to understand people at a deeper level and help them to release emotional patterns that they've been holding on to. So that will be next week. We're getting a little closer to our big update, a big Genius update with some tremendous improvements, and we'll have more on that coming up soon. Right now, I'd like to work on a case with you, so we're going to hopefully hear from maybe Carmela's voice recording and get her introduced here. So I think, Karen, I'll unmute you and maybe she can speak and record her voice so we can find out a little bit about what's going on with her.
Awesome. My pleasure to introduce my girlfriend, Carmela. Carmela,
Hi.
Ariel.
Hi.
Hi, Carmela. Tell us when you got the Genius.
I got it 2 years ago.
Wonderful. 2 years. Okay. So we got to really get you up and running successfully and help you in whatever way that we can. And we're certainly here for you. In addition, Karen's such a wonderful resource. What can we work on for you today?
I have problem with my adrenals. The cortisol level, they're always high. And I have problem with my hands. The fleshy part of the thumbs,
What's the problem with your hands?
they swell up.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, because I had intravenous into my fingers, and that buggered up my whole system.
During the DVT.
okay. Sorry, we had a little bit of an audio challenge, you guys. Don't worry, I'm bringing everything back online right now. So I just missed the last part, Carmela.
Just while you were in the surgery, what's the?
Oh, I had an adrenal removed about 3 years ago.
Oh, you had the adrenals removed. So then it would be hard to have high cortisol. Did you have the adrenals removed because you had high cortisol?
Yes, and I still do.
Okay, so, but you have high cortisol, but you don't have adrenals.
One adrenal. I don't have the left adrenal.
Oh, okay, so you have one of the adrenals. Okay, totally understand now. Okay, so the main thing that we're working on is more energy and what's going on with the hands.
I had intravenous through my fingers when I was in a hospital, and they buggered up my nerves.
Oh, no. Okay, so we need to do the nerve tonifying program. Okay, so I'm going to have you record your voice. I'm going to have you say your full name when I cue you, and then after you say your name, keep repeating the vowels A-E-I-O-U over and over again. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'll start recording in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
I am Carmela Miko. A-I-O-U. 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 A-I-O-U.
Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, Carmela, I'm really glad that you're with us, and I'll get back to you in a little while as we do some work on you.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So adrenal stuff. And she had one of the adrenals removed. Sounds like it may have been like an autoimmune condition or some type of a mass or something. If you want to share that with us in the chat area, a little bit more about that. I wasn't able to really sort of perceive that information. Now I had to turn off the camera. I'll turn it back on, but we were having a little bit of a glitch in terms of the media, all the media that we're using. So, okay. All right, so just looking at this, you guys, what we want to do when we have a case in the beginning is we want to look up and down, and we want to sort of get a sense of what's going on. In addition, we're going to take a picture of the aura. So we're going to go ahead and look at the aura. Dale, you had a great question about the affiliate program. I'll get back to you on that. That's a really important consideration, is how do you get those new links? I'm working on that behind the scenes, and I'll have information for you soon. Thank you for being on top of stuff like that. All right, so interesting aura. Now, my guess would be that she's been working on herself, and Karen, who's a master healer, has been working on her as well. But this kind of gray-green pea soup is almost always related to liver and digestion. So I think some of what's going on here, just based on the aura, is liver and digestion. And you can see the blockage, which looks like it's starting to release, is centered in this solar plexus area. So that could be power issues, but it may have to do with the gut itself. It may have to do with trying to improve the digestive system. That may be intertwined with all of this. So the foods that we eat can elicit an autoimmune reaction. And these foods that do this the most are things like dairy products and high protein foods such as chicken, fish, beef, etc. So we want to remove those foods in order to reduce the chance that we'll have an autoimmune reaction. Okay, so we're going to take a picture of this, and then we're going to proceed. So we want to go back in here, and then we just want to look up and down. Now, Now, I don't know if Linda is on from this morning. Linda sent me a message this morning and she asked, no, she didn't join the chat. Okay, she didn't join the class. All right, so she wanted to know what the reds and blues mean. So reds and blues represent reactivity. Anything that's red or blue, you certainly do want to pay attention to. And you want to include those in your balancing tray because when you do that, it reduces reactivity. And this is how we want to talk about biofeedback. Biofeedback does not cure anything, and we're not finding diagnoses in here. What we're doing is we're finding energetic stressors in the field, and we're playing a frequency back to that person in order to resolve the stress disturbance. We're not doing anything else, and we don't want to make any claims that we're doing any. We don't want to we want to stay safe, and we can very, very be safe by saying we're reducing stress. This is a stress reduction tool to reduce stress disturbances in the body, in the mind, in the energy field. So we do see organs are coming up here. So we'd want to look at what is going on with the organs. And we look at the things that are in red and blue. So we see that skin. Now, skin is an interesting issue. She did mention the issue with the IV treatment in her hands, but the skin is how we interact with the outer environment. So if we're having any issue with people or things around us, problematic relationships, those things could actually manifest in the skin. Then we don't have anything else really coming up on the organs because I go as low as about 200. So let's look at chemical sensitivities. That's kind of interesting. So what could chemical sensitivities be about? We see some perfumes, some herbicides. So this could be a past reaction to those things. We see air pollution, solvents, cigarette smoke. So I guess, did you ever smoke or were you ever around people who smoked? That would be a really good thing to know. But there does seem to be a lot of stress on the liver itself through these chemical sensitivities. All right, so then we see herbs. There are some herbs here that are being drawn to her, but we don't have to look at that. We can choose what we want to explore. In system overview, the reds and the blues are only indicative of panels that may have really juicy items in there for our client. But we can also use our brain and say, hey, I think it would be helpful just to look at today's stress. I'd like to know the overall view of what's going on with that person. So the fact that it's 480 does not mean we shouldn't test it, nor does it mean we won't find things here to look at. So we see inflammation. There is underlying inflammation going on. That's probably one of the most valuable things that we can find and work on, because reducing inflammation, whatever the cause, maybe it's an underlying infection. An underlying infection can cause inflammation. By reducing the inflammation, we could reduce any discomfort. We could raise her vitality. We could overall help with the adrenal function. So there's probably a whole story about why the adrenals got to the condition that they did. And I don't know if we have any additional. So then Karen says, mass adrenal cancer question removed. Didn't she say she had one of her adrenals removed? What was the reason for that? Okay, so she's actually, the cigarette smoke, you guys, really applies because she is still smoking. So that is, and sometimes I forget these like small considerations because I assume that everybody's a non-smoker. And I remember I did an intake by long distance and I had a person send me the intake form and I didn't even ask the question, and she had very severe fibromyalgia and she was in all of this pain. And I asked her many, many questions about lifestyle and history. It wasn't until I got the forms in the mail, this was before, prevalent use of email, and I opened the envelope and it was like almost like smoke came out of the envelope. The smell of cigarette smoke was so just in the papers themselves. And I thought, my God, I missed, like, this is one of the most important pieces. So I'm, not telling you anything new, but what do we need to do to take cigarettes, or we don't want to say take, but what do we need to do to release the cigarettes from your life? Because I think that could have been a contributing factor to the adrenal issue. And certainly it's not doing any part of your being, it's not being helpful. It may not be a place that you're willing to or ready to explore, and I completely understand that. But as we're seeking health, it is true that if people are not able to enter the door through lifestyle changes, that biofeedback may act as a catalyst, because it can help to remove subconscious blocks, and it can help people to deal with deeper emotional issues by sort of revealing them to the person. If we continue to do that and we're not going to make any progress to getting them closer to making more changes that would help their physiology, then we shouldn't expect biofeedback to be that panacea or that magic pill. It can help people at a deep level, sometimes with addictions, because it works at the deep subconscious. So it may open the door and allow them to walk through a place where they're able to then let some of these harmful pieces go. But it's important for you as a practitioner to say, biofeedback is not a magic bullet. If we continue to injure the endothelium or we injure the lungs, then we are going to have implications. So I'm sure she's well aware of all of that. Let's make sure that this is turned off. Okay, so fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the libraries overall, and let's look at still, your mic picks up banging noises very well. I don't know what I'm banging, but I do apologize for that. And again, Dale, thanks for letting me know. If it's been banging, I'm just going to be super, super quiet, but sometimes I do need to move stuff, so I do completely apologize. Now, it's interesting that the immune system assessment comes up: telomeres, cellular freedom, young living oils, affirmations, and let's just look at some of these, because we don't really, I'm sort of in the dark as to what the true root cause is, but there's certainly an emotional component to this. So we've got some white blood cells going on here. So that means that they're reactive. You have a conflict with white blood cells. What the manifestation of the conflict is hard to know. So I guess, Dale, are you still hearing some of those banging noises? I'm not actually moving anything around, so let me know if you're still picking something up. Right now I'm not moving anything, so just let me know if there are any extra noises. Then interleukin-2 is sort of an inflammatory marker. We've got some T cells, so there's some kind of a misfiring in the immune system at this point. We've also got interleukin-6. So these are cytokines. These could be signs that the person has underlying inflammation going on. Let's also look at autoimmune assessment and take a look here. So interesting, autoimmune treatment comes up with all of those. Let's go ahead and just look at treatment. It comes up as a 1. A 1 or a low number means that the energy is very compressed, and it's something that we would definitely want to look at. So this comes up ashwagandha. That would be a good adrenal support and an immune support, and gluten digesting enzymes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the gluten digesting enzyme. So Dale says when I set down the phone, it was a big boom. So I completely apologize. I'm sure that has to do with the microphone that I'm talking into. So good feedback. I will be quiet as a mouse over here. So, okay. So we do have some other things coming up that are for the digestive system. And I'm getting the impression that working with the tummy and the liver are some of the best things that you can do for your overall health right now. Let's go down to the bottom. I'm not a huge fan of cod liver oil anymore. I need to sort of correct these because I believe it can suppress the immune system, but the need for it, or the resonance showing up here, tells us again one of the main factors in this case is inflammation. Resveratrol is a wonderful antioxidant, helps to reduce oxidative stress. Certainly with tobacco, we're going to have more oxidative stress circulating in the body. Vitamin D, this means we need more sunshine. So if you can get out even in overcast weather and expose your face and your arms as much as possible to sunlight, it's helpful. And certainly in the warmer climate, in the warmer times, you want to get as much outdoor sunshine exposure. And some of that time you want to not be wearing sunglasses because we take in a significant amount of vitamin D through the eyes. So for the first 20 minutes that you're out there, if you can try not to have sunglasses, not to wear sunglasses, it'll be really, really helpful. So let's look at that autoimmune assessment. I feel like that the inflammation or some type of gut reaction is causing some type of autoimmune response. So it does seem we also have an underlying infection. So it might not be rubella, it might be another type of virus. So I think we need to do a digestive cleanse. We need to get on a starch-based plan where we remove all meat, dairy, refined sugar, eggs, and so forth from the plan. And we embrace starch, which we embrace potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, millet, quinoa, amaranth, all of those types of foods. You could even have pasta, although I'd make it brown rice pasta because it looks like gluten may be an issue. We want to take all of those foods out so that we can strengthen the physiology of the body and reduce this inflammatory response. We've also got some thyroid antibodies, but it may be other antibodies. And it could be antibodies that led to the problem with the adrenals. That's what I'm sort of picking up, that there was an autoimmune response. And I don't know, again, I'm sort of in the dark as to the circumstances or why the adrenals needed to come out in the first place, why one adrenal was removed. So sorry. And then emotional trauma, definitely I thought about that. Again, it says influenza B, current infection. The whole thing with any type of autoimmune condition, you guys, whether it's autoimmune thyroid or whatever the autoimmune response is, and now there's a whole epidemic of autoimmunity, it is often due to an underlying infection. But then again, what are the most infectious things that we expose ourselves to? It is the ingestion of, what do you think is in that chicken, even though it's free range? We know that chickens are the carriers of viruses. In fact, somebody in one of my naturopathic colleagues once mentioned, isn't it interesting that people use chicken soup for colds, that it may have homeopathic type of viruses in it. It may have the diluted viruses in it that act as a homeopathic, but that doesn't mean the more that you consume these foods, just from an objective perspective, the more that you expose yourself to these infections. And whether we have the strength in our body at this time to really overcome these infections is highly questionable. One of my meditation teacher once said, a yogi can digest a bowling ball, that all the breathing exercises and the postures strengthen the digestive system and the hydrochloric acid system of the body. However, most people have very, very weak tummy acid, and your stomach acid is the main protector for you from any of these infectious agents that come in through the food system getting to the rest of the body. If you had a hugely powerful hydrochloric acid system in your body, it would be able to burn out those infections, but many of them pass through. But this, when we scratch our heads, it's like, oh, I wonder why I have a parasite. I wonder why I have a virus. I wonder why I have a bacteria. It isn't always something that we're breathing in through the lungs that's coming in through the external environment. It's often the food supply. We do have some environmental toxic exposure. We've got some iodine deficiency. We've got some Th2 dominant. That means there's an impairment in the immune system. We can go ahead and look at the adrenals as well. So let's go ahead and do adrenal. It's interesting that the solutions are coming up so strongly as opposed to the assessment. We've got adrenal solutions coming up. Let's go ahead and take a look at those. Again, ashwagandha. So, that's interesting that it was consistent on both of those panels that are different panels. But ashwagandha is a wonderful herb. It's an Ayurvedic herb that helps to boost the immune system in a healthful way, and it supports the adrenals. So you could take ashwagandha as a daily tonic. It's a very, very good, you'll feel more energized and it will boost your immune system. It's a wonderful adaptogenic herb that you can use as a tonic herb, meaning you can take it every day. We've got some Panax ginseng. We've got some Avinocort. This is a product that has some ability to regenerate the adrenals. And we've got vitamin B12 and max BND. So it looks like the B vitamins would be very important. What they do is they power up the mitochondria of the body and help to give the body a better way of producing energy. So if you're feeling fatigued, you may want to look into the max BND. It's a natural form of vitamin B. Don't get synthetic vitamin B because it tends to be made from weird things like coal tar, or it might be made in China. So try to get food-based vitamin B. Also having fermented foods. Remember I mentioned to get the big thing of fermented foods, fermented vegetables of all types of different flavors. And I put a huge portion on my salad every day. And if you did one thing differently, make sure you add in a big fresh salad with lots of different types of lettuce, arugula, red leaf lettuce, romaine. Well, hopefully the romaine now is safe, and get it organic, and then put that fermentation in there. That will help you to build up your own B vitamin status, especially B12. All right, so let's go down here. Cordyceps is like a yang support for the adrenals, astragalus, vitamin C, B12. It looks like we need to do some renourishing. That would come from a better diet. You can supplement these things, but a starch-based food plan. I'm going to show a little picture book in the middle of class here of what a starch-based food plan means, and I will have some more upcoming programs. Unless you understand the science and the research behind it, because of all of the public fads, the different fad diets that are out there, it's really difficult to understand why this way of eating is so important. Okay, so we've got adrenal assessment. Let's see what the adrenal assessment says. We've got some food allergies, which I referred to. We've got some excess stimulants. I mean, that could be the nicotine, a spinal misalignment, poor sleep, chronic worry. So these are the items that are causing the adrenals to be impaired. EMF exposure is somewhat more mild, so it's not a huge issue. Past effects of injuries, so that could even be the past effect of the surgery. That's going there. And then some recommended adrenal practices. What would be the practices that she could do that would help to rectify the adrenal issue? Oh, okay, I'm getting some information that I'm not going to read out loud. That's giving me some perspective on the case, so it's good to know. Proper hydration, tonic herbs, breathing exercises, walk 1 hour per day. If you can't walk 1 hour per day, start with 10 minutes per day. Every single person who's on here is a way to prevent illness and keep your brain going and your body going. Some type of walking every single day. Don't let one day go by to do something. If you have to get a treadmill because it's too cold outside, do that. But 10 minutes because you're moving the entire lymphatics of the body and you're causing a huge fluid exchange, and you're helping to keep those cells healthy and keep the physiology healthy. Some yin exercise, that would be like meditation or yoga. Yang exercise is things like really, intense cardiovascular exercise, swimming, biking, running, or just rapid walking. Low blue light technology, so be careful that you have some type of blue light blockers on your screen and on your computer and your TV at night. The blue light is impairing your production of melatonin and may be contributing to the causative issues with your sleep. So that would be incredibly helpful. All right, let's look at digestion overall, because I do think digestion is sort of one of the core pieces here. And then we'll look at flower essences, and then we'll do some harmonizing. So we can look at digestive assessment and see what comes up, because I do think digestion is at the core of this. And we've got some GMO exposure. So if you're not eating 100% organic, it looks like you're being exposed to GMO in some way. We've got intrahepatic stones. These are stones that have come out of the gallbladder and are living between the two lobes of the system. So there's quite a bit of stone. So we want to get the oil, the meat, including chicken and fish, and any refined sugar, dairy, eggs out of the food plan, because that will help to cleanse the gallbladder. You could also use green juices in addition, but the number one thing is the food. We have to get the food right. So low stomach acid is an issue. Remember, I said we can't protect ourselves from those pathogens if our stomach acid is low. Now, one way you can help with that is you could do some yoga, some meditation, even a few postures a little bit before your meal, like you could do Surya Namaskar, sun salutation, and you can also get some bitters. So there's a company called Urban Moonshine, and they have really interesting bitters that you can order, and you take these bitters. Bitter in the mouth means sweetness in the stomach. So you can take that bitter and then experience a more boosting of your digestive juices before your meal. Helicobacter pylori is something that happens when our stomach acid is out of balance for a while. And when our stomach acid is too low, it allows these little critters to sort of take over the stomach, and that's the H. pylori. So they like to grow in that low stomach environment. They're always there sort of in a small amount, but then if our digestion is not on or our stomach acid is too low, they can proliferate very quickly, and that can cause things like an ulcer. Then we've got some leaky gut. You need to sneeze here, so hang on just 1 second. We've got some leaky gut. We've got a protein enzyme deficiency. So digestion, as I mentioned, it does appear to be off, sort of off kilter there. So that's going to be your biggest thing, is to get your food plan correct and to make a digestive change. That's going to help you the most right now, and just doing the harmonizing with the genius. So working on these, maybe getting some of these panels and working on these particular issues. We've got sympathetic dominance, so we need more downtime, more walking time, more time in nature, more time just to stop and smell the roses. We've got some gallstones, which I mentioned. That's going to be primarily rectified through the corrective diet. And we've got some lipase. If you're a coffee drinker for a lifetime, you tend to deplete your lipase stores. But again, a lot of this will get better with the right food plan. We've got some candida, some fruit malabsorption. This is coming out of the diet. This is a result of eating meat and chicken and oil and stuff like that. We're going to get the fruit malabsorption from the liver being stressed, and we're going to get the candida. The candida is the cleanup crew. When we have rotting food, fermenting food in the gut, then we're going to get the candida. It comes in just like when a tree falls in the forest and we get all that moss growing in it. So the candida comes in as the cleanup crew. It's an indicator that we need to correct the diet. Okay, so now we're going to go to the, let's go ahead and go to the Bach flower essences. Let's see if I can actually get this correct, because it's going to be in mind, which is going to be here. And then we're going to do Bach flower essences. And then we're going to take the mastery guide that I have. Everybody should have gotten one of these when they got the system through me. If you didn't, you can order it from my website. It's currently on the Awaken website, so go there to order it, or go to my chat. Go to the chat. You can just go to geniusbiofeedback.com and click the chat button, and you can chat with me, and I can help you to get set up with that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is looking at the different meaning of the neurotransmitters. Whoa, we got a lot of flower essences, and what I always say about all these flower essences being so high is it means a lot of these essences want to come and play with the person. So you've got a lot of these essences that want to come and play with Carmela and hang out with her, because they help to resolve these emotional blockages. They help to resolve these emotional wounds. So we want to get as many of them into the tray as possible. The first part of your program is the part that says these have a high probability of being significant. But the second part of the program, the Progressive Insights, is a tighter testing algorithm where you really get to the root cause. So that's why we have these two different processes. Here we're gathering information that has a high likelihood of being significant, but you get basically more certainty as you get into the progressive insights area. So let's go ahead and take care of all of this fun here. I mean, all of these. This says that we want to provide comfort. I gotta turn my phone off completely. We want to provide comfort. We want to help you in any way to move through the emotional blockages that you have. And you guys, I do have a class coming up that is going to combine the flower essences with the meridians. So some of you have told me, I do have a panel that I've completed on that, and we're going to be combining the opening the doorway, which is using flower essences and meridians combined, which help to resolve these life lessons, these different things. Because like Century is a bitter, but Century is specifically for connecting with your heart, and it has some heart meridian connections. But we'll talk about that. But just for today, we're going to take these, and then we tap the bottom right part of the main whole tray. We have 83 items in the main whole tray. And when we go to Progressive Insights, we tap that button at the bottom right. We're asking a really significant question, which is, of all of these 83 items, what are the ones that are the most priority items? That when we play the frequency of these items, it'll have a tremendous effect on everything else. So we can ask the energy field just to focus on a few items. Do you like to focus on one thing at a time, 5 things at a time, or 25 things at a time? So it's the same thing with your energy field. We're going to send in what it most needs to focus on. Now, it's really interesting that it needs to focus on rescue remedy. So that's sort of like a state of crisis. So we need to sort of calm all the systems down a little bit and just get a reset and just sort of like an energetic vacation. So that's interesting that it comes up. It means that the whole field is sort of in a state of crisis right now. Some solvents, so something that has to do with solvents, whether it be paint or gasoline, is affecting the field right now. Vitamin B12 is very good for the mental outlook. So that would be something that would be significant, that could be extremely helpful. Willow is the first flower essence that comes up that we want to look at. And again, these are the doorways out. So this is getting away from resolving self-pity or resentment, moving out of that place. So for those who have suffered much adversity or misfortune and find these difficult to accept, without complaint or resentment, as they judge life much by the success which it brings, they feel that they have not deserved so great a trial and that it was unjust, and they can become embittered. They often take less and less interest. They take less interest and less activity in those things of life which they had previously enjoyed. So, but this is the doorway out. It's not a static thing. It's like that might be the thing that they're experiencing, but they're also actively asking to resolve it. They're actually actively asking to move beyond it. So this, it says, this could be a rallying point for them. So we've got the herbicides. I'm just looking for some other flower essences. And you can tap all of these. This is not too many things for the energy field to focus on. We want to get the sort of the super high top items there. Then we go to olive, which is exhaustion following a mental or physical effect. And we saw that many times today. This is just like the rescue remedy tells us that. The need for the ashwagandha tells us that. So again, olive is exhaustion following a mental or physical effort. So there's really a need for a vacation, a resting period. If I had my prescription pad, I would write down, take a tropical vacation. It's time to get out of Dodge and just reset and completely relax and consider all of the things in life. There's that adrenal stuff, and there's the cigarette smoke. Interesting, isn't it? So let's go ahead and let's get 1 minute on the clock here and do that harmonizing. I didn't get a third flower essence in there, but there were 2 that were pretty good and pretty spot on for her. So super, interesting case. But the biggest outcome here, doing biofeedback will be really, really helpful, but we need a break. We just need a reset, and we need some quiet, some time to reflect. and sometimes just to completely rest the mind, body, and spirit. That's really, really important. Are these panels the basic ones that come with the Genius, or are they added panels? Good question, Brenda. These are added panels that can be gotten through the Awaken Total Health website. So if you go to awakentotalhealth.com, there is a menu that tells you all about the libraries. It comes in a set of 100, 200, or you can get some of the groupings like hormonal panels and things like that. So check that out. But a lot of these that we're looking at today are additional panels that I've developed. Okay. All right. So now she says she's a longtime vegetarian. Now, does she still eat any dairy or eggs, cheese, or butter? Those would be best removed, in addition to any oil. And it's hard to get the oil out. This means no coconut oil. This means no vegetable oil. This means no olive oil. Those things need to come out, and they can be really problematic. Now, certainly there are other things like eating meat and beef could be problematic, but they still can really prevent the person from healing until they eliminate that particular piece. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the aura and take a peek at that. What has changed about the aura? Now, a lot of things change the aura, you guys. As you're talking to the client, their aura can change. The frequencies that you run, bringing them a new level of awareness. All of these things change the aura. They're all really, really powerful. It's ultimately the words that we say to ourselves that change our cells, our biology, our tissues, and frequency can help. This is directed. This is sort of like the directed energies that also influence the body. In addition to words, words are like frequency. So this is another type of frequency. So this tells us that there is movement, but not finality. There is some movement here from the first to the second, but we've almost moved into the goo and the stuff and getting through, the mud going on here. But we have definitely some good movement. So now what we can do is we can go back here and we can go back to the progressive insights. And now we do the second drill down where we tap the begin analysis, and it takes into account the 1 minute of harmonizing that we've done. And it says, given that 1 minute of harmonizing, now what will rise to the top? What will percolate to the top here? Oh, it's cod liver oil. Now, again, not a huge fan, but what it's more indicating is, I'm not a huge fan because I think it suppresses the immune system too much in its reduction of inflammation, and it can thin the blood. And sometimes you may need your blood to be able to clot really well. So there are many reasons I would prefer to remove this from the actual panel. But it is telling us that inflammation is a significant part of the case, is the takeaway message here. And then we've got Panax ginseng, so adrenal support. This is immune support. This is max B and D, proper hydration. So the B vitamins, the solvents. I wonder where their solvents are coming from. Hormonal, that could be past solvents now. Immune, inflammation. This case is about digestion, inflammation, and immune status. Digestion, inflammation, and immune status. Those are the things that need to be worked on until they're resolved. Okay, there's solvents in tobacco. That's good, like arsenic and tar, etc. Solvents in the cigarettes, says Diana. All right. Goat's milk in the coffee, no other. I'd have to do sort of an intake of the food plan. Usually there's something in there that we do find. And I suspect it's the oils, but maybe there's no olive oil, maybe there's no coconut oil, but something. Usually if I do a good thorough food intake, we usually find the thing, and sometimes it's just an oops thing, like oops. But goat's milk is not free of infective agents, and it's probably best to eliminate it. We have to look at the total picture. So I'd have to do a full food intake to really understand what's going on. But yeah, you'd be surprised. Like people forget, honestly, that they have, I forgot that I have this particular thing. And it's really easy. It's a tough thing, you guys, even today. Like I'm always just trying to hone what I'm doing, and improve it and make it better. So let's go ahead and take another look at the aura. And it's about 10 minutes before the hour. We are going to get to the other cases today. So we're going to run a little bit long. If you need to take off at the top of the hour, that is perfectly okay. Okay, I thought this would go a little faster. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so this is good. This almost looks like cigarette smoke in the field, doesn't it? But it's just energetic blockage going on here, going on up here. Now there's a beautiful white light coming over here. So this is a wonderful clearing at the top. And we do have some digestive clearing and then overall clearing of the aura. So let's just do one more minute here. And I'm always learning a lot about the case through the drill down, which is when you go back into Progressive Insights and you sort of drill it down again, drill it down again. You're peeling that layer of the onion, and it's telling me like what things now move to that upper place of priority for the energy field and what things drop down. Things that drop down quickly tells us those were easily resolved. Things that will not leave that place of high priority says this is difficult for the energy field to move through it. So particularly for the rescue remedy stays high. There's a huge urgent need for rectification, for help, for assistance for some reason. And then cherry plum. Cherry plum is fear of the mind giving way. So I think this is fear that like just sort of lose your will, fear of the mind being overstrained, of reason giving away, of doing fearful and dreaded things, not wished and not known, yet there comes a time of the thought and impulse to do them. So it could even be self-sabotage. With cherry plum, think temper tantrum. There's much stored energy of frustration that has not been able to find a healthy expression. Okay, so see if there's anything else. There's that cod liver oil to reduce the inflammation, vitamin D to help the immune system. Astragalus and ashwagandha are kind of similar in their ability to really help the immune system. And the astragalus helps the telomeres, actually. All right, and gorse is that feeling of hopelessness, but it's that they're hopeless in the moment, but gorse is going to help them to feel hopeful. So the definition should not be thought of as static. It doesn't mean that they're in the process of moving that energy out. So gorse is hopelessness and despair. Let me get the 1 minute going here. Hopelessness and despair, very great hopelessness. They have given up their belief that more can be done for them under persuasion or to please others. They may try different treatments at the same time assuring those around them that there's so little hope of pain, so little hope of relief, that like they don't feel a resolution, but they're reaching for one nonetheless. So they haven't given up completely. All right, so again, the case here where there was a removed adrenal and some skin concerns, we didn't get to the nerve stuff, so I do apologize, but Karen can run the nerve tonifying panel for you and help to see which of the nerves is sort of percolating to the top. But this is a case of need for adrenal support, need for immune system modulation, a need to clean up the gut in whatever way that we're able to do that at this time, and the need to just sort of take an energetic or physical reset, get to a sunny place, just total relaxation. So because the body and the energy field sort of in crisis here. So let's do one final look at the aura. See what comes up here, and then we'll move on. We've got Karen C that we're going to work with next. So this is this is really different from the first green that we saw. This is more of an emerald green. Let's go back and we can look at the videotape here. So let me turn my camera off. That's not the one. We'll turn this off because I got to find it in the photos. So let's grab, all right, let's grab the initial photo here. Let's go back here. Very interesting view. Okay, so anyway, this was the first one. We're seeing more liver, gallbladder, bile, kind of an energy going on here, and then sort of this release that's happening in the solar plexus. Okay, then we're seeing sort of going through the muck of everything, going through the mud. We're seeing some lightning, and then we're also seeing some more physical stuff that has to be released. And then finally, we're getting resolution. There is still some more releasing going on because we're pushing things out through that right side, which their right side is opposite when you're looking, they're facing us. So you're seeing that being pushed out, and you're seeing a beautiful emerald green. There's a lot of really beautiful energy coming in here. So Carmela, drink a lot of water today, maybe even have a little electrolyte or something like that. But I think you'll be sleeping better this evening and just feeling better overall. And it may sort of help to catalyze the changes that you're trying to make, so you feel more of this encouragement to move forward. Okay, we have 2 more cases. So like I said, we're going to go a little long today. We're going to get to Karen, who was sent in by Tammy. And let's see if we can get some insight. She says that, here's my story. Oh, she's having some hair loss issues. I'm in my late 50s. We always sort of give a range. I started noticing hair loss about 7 years ago. I was ill from 50 to 54 with unknown bedridden illness that included numbness, fatigue, tingling, and a host of other strange symptoms. I was diagnosed with autoimmune, so that seems to be a common theme today. Again, autoimmunity, let me talk about it a little bit in more detail, but we're going to be, this is all usually self versus non-self, the body trying to discern the difference between self and non-self. But the biggest non-self contributor is food. So it's often that this autoimmunity is triggered through a food reaction or an underlying infection or a combination of both. Now, there also is sort of always an emotional factor as well. Diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that ends in complete baldness. But years later, I have considered healed from that, since there are no more outbreaks of itching bumps on the scalp. However, hair loss continues. The thyroid is normal, but many polyps that one doctor insists cannot cause hair loss. All signs of illness are healed from much alternative methods except the hair loss. It looks like soon I'll need a wig, which causes much stress. Any help would be appreciated. Okay, so we're going to get started. Let me just turn this off. So this does sound like an autoimmune reaction and some type of a really stuck emotional thing. Because usually when you have these chronic, seemingly mysterious, there often is an emotional story and a hidden emotional trauma that's not, we haven't found the steam valve for that to get out. So that, you guys aren't going to see the screen for a second. So that's really just been my experience, is because people will come to me and they'll be like, no doctor can figure this out. And that's often, it's a combination of maybe they did miss something important, but there's usually a deep-seated emotional connection. And also just no one tells them to eat a starch-based food plan. So the autoimmune paleo program is not the permanent solution, you guys, and I do apologize. I used to talk about it in the past. It's a starch-based food plan that's free of oils and free of chicken, fish, dairy, eggs, and oil. Okay, so is Karen actually here on the class today? Karen C? Okay, so Karen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can unmute you and get your voice recording. If I can't, or you don't say anything, then I'll just default. It's really hard for me to play the other one, so we're just going to skip the voice. Okay, it looks like you may have muted yourself. If you don't want to unmute yourself, oh, there you go. So Karen, can you hear me? So can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. No, you just don't have that capability. So that's not a problem. What we're going to do is we're going to skip the voice and we're actually going to analyze her picture. So her picture is right here. So we'll analyze the picture. We pre-entered that before class started. You guys, when you come to class, it's sort of a crapshoot about whether we're going to be able to get to the class, to the client, to the person who's volunteered for the class. There's really no volunteer. There's no guarantee. So Judith is asking about Molly. We're going to do our best. I said we're going to do 3 cases that were sent in, and Molly is one of them. So we're going to do our best. But just to let you know that there's no guarantee. This is a free service that we provide for everyone, including the community. None of this is a diagnosis, and it should not be taken as medical information. Consider this for entertainment only. If you have a severe medical issue, this is not the place to work it out. We can offer some energetic, fun recommendations, and we're doing this for the purpose of learning about resonance biofeedback. It's a learning opportunity. It's not a medical intervention opportunity. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the aura and see what's going on with it. And that'll be like our first foray into what's going on here. So we're thinking autoimmune. We're always thinking digestive. Got to get the digestion on track. And we're thinking, what is that deep sort of emotional piece that's going on that maybe hasn't been revealed yet? Okay, so this looks like Tammy might be working on her because we're seeing a nice sort of a beautiful rich blue, almost like an ocean blue. These are really the higher energy colors. Usually we get these after we're having some resolution, but we do see some physical items going on below. We see some gray, and we do see some wonderful healing energy coming in here. Other than that, it's really hard to say where in particular the blockages are, and it may be because she's been worked on recently. But let's see what sort of persists nonetheless. We sort of look up and down here, and we're sort of looking for reds and blues and any type of information that we might get from this observation. So I don't see anything really here at all except for the electrical sensitivities. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. So let's go ahead and look at the electrical sensitivities and see what comes up. So that's sort of maybe one piece. But you guys, the number one piece, and I really missed it in a lot of my career, learning all about herbs and supplements and how do we like start off and let's get the blood pressure supplement that can lower the blood pressure. You have to find the root cause. And the biggest root cause to all of this is people are not consuming the correct food for human beings. And that's what I'm going to show you in this little PDF that I'm going to send out to everybody. I just really highly encourage you to learn more about this and to learn the science that backs this up and to try it yourself. There's absolutely no problem in this. We're going to do a group program together so I can troubleshoot with you. But the most confusing part is that people and naturopathic doctors are to blame as well, have not told you the correct food for human consumption. And that is a huge issue. So we'll be talking about that more. Radio waves, and there's that pesky UHF. So something going on there. And I would include the cellular frequencies, even though they're just at 200. All right, then we can look. I don't really see anything else that's standing out. I suspect maybe she's been getting a bit of biofeedback because everything looks very much ordered. We're still going to dive deep and we're going to find out what are more of the root cause issues. So we do see some lymphatic, and there's exactly what I thought. There's maybe a couple of core emotional issues that we've just not been able to either arrive at or we've not been able to process. We've just not been able to open that steam. I'm talking about the release valve and sort of move that energy out. So it's just sort of stuck there. So let's see, when that happens, it's often because people don't know how to verbalize it. Or they need permission to verbalize it, or they need a tool. And so that is where biofeedback is a tremendous tool in helping people who are unable to communicate that information. You reveal it in your testing, you gently and with respect communicate it to them, and they're like, yes, that's what the issue is. And the minute that they do that, they have some level of new awareness, they begin to release it, they begin to process it. So the flower essences are very good for that. And the oil on point is good for that. And really understanding that Carolyn mind viewpoint on human nature and releasing those patterns is great. And the oil on point helps to tell the story. So those 250 frequencies help the person to tell their story. And that's what we really want. We want to see if we can get them to a place to at least verbalize, recognize, and release the past cellular the energy that's being held by those past emotional traumas. All right, well, I didn't see anything too fascinating here. We do see some heavy metal toxicity, cardiovascular, kidneys. What I typically do in these cases comes from biofeedback practitioner level 2, healing chronic cases. This is a class that you can download. It's biofeedback practitioner level 2, healing chronic cases. It's available on my website. All the classes are there, and it tells you why I developed this set of panels and how to use them. So what I do is, let's go to all the libraries. I go to healing chronic cases, global causes, and I want to just dive deep and take sort of get a swath of information about what physical and emotional pieces may be at play here. So we do, just first of all, before I go there, we do see heart health, weight release, food allergies, hypothalamus probably imbalance, that's in the brain, and autoimmune treatment. So now let's go to we could analyze those panels a bit more, but first let's just go to the healing chronic cases. panels. And let's take a look at those. And what we want to view is the one that says 0 global causative factors. And this just sort of gives us this large swath of information. So it's sort of all the different parameters that sort of, this is going to tell the story of what's going on for that person. And that is why biofeedback is so desperately needed today, because the person goes in to see the doctor and we're still operating in very, old paradigms where we're all going to scratch our heads and look around, just say, well, I don't know, well, I don't know, well, I don't know. With biofeedback, you can always know. You can always know more information. We desperately need biofeedback for humanity today. So we can say there's an addictive pattern. So something about addiction is contributing to this particular issue of the hair loss. The quality of the food, the need to increase the quality of the food. A methylation issue, which typically, methylation is a complicated process of chemical reactions that are typically involved in things like liver detoxification and hormonal metabolizing hormones. But the biggest takeaway message from methylation is usually people need 2 key ingredients to add into their food plan, which is beet powder or actual beets. I like to get fermented beets. I also like beet juice, which is kvass, fermented beet juice, which can be quite pleasant. And then also B vitamins, so methylated folate or methylated B. You can get a lot of that good stuff in Max B and D. Then there's gut toxicity is contributing to the issue. And what we want to do is we want to take all of these down into the tray, because out of all of these, we'll find even a higher level of prioritization. An eating addiction is contributing. A relaxation, needing to relax, is contributing. Some skin issues are part of the whole issue. There's a brain issue. There's a liver issue. There's forgiveness, needed to forgive someone maybe or themselves in their lives. Excess animal product consumption is part of the issue. Then we go down to the bottom, what's on the other end, what is in blue, and we want to consider that. Clarify the purpose in one's life. Interference, I'm not going to go into interference fields, but it's from a past injury. Father core issue causative, a thyroid issue is causative. That there's probably I'd say there's probably one emotional piece that's the juggernaut, that if we were able to really release it, the hair would start growing back and it would seem like a miracle. But I would say there's still a significant autoimmune response that maybe is causing an allergy or a food allergy within the follicles. So an autoimmune response within the follicles. But that whole thing is like weirdly mitigated through emotional blockage. Belief systems, okay, so all these things, excess fat consumption is contributing, mother core issue, life path conflict. So this sort of explains so much more than just saying like no one has any idea what's going on. Like we can have an idea what's going on. Now, not all of these may apply, you guys, and Karen, feel free to take the ones that you like and release the rest. If they don't feel like they apply, you can just chuck them out. Like biofeedback's not a perfect science. I'm almost tempted to go to the emotional insight here, and we could do I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a little bit more testing. So then we have these other chronic cases that we can look at. Let's actually do the healing affirmations. I bet that will be really powerful in helping to see where we are emotionally. Okay, so my mind is cleansed and free. I allow damaged cells to be released. This is the healthy form of what's called apoptosis. My life is in perfect rhythm. That's a really good reason, you guys, if you can walk in nature or go to the nearest forest and do what they now call forest bathing. Anytime you walk away from all the electrical wires and everything, and you get in nature, you reestablish your own rhythm. And the whole body is based on rhythms in connection with the earth energy. We are very much earthbound beings. So we're the rhythms of the earth itself. That's why we connect our feet to the earth, but also just think about all the rhythms of the heart and the brain, the circadian rhythm, the hormonal cyclical rhythm. So we're all about rhythm. We surround you with safety and love. So that's an energy of, just feeling connected to the community. I allow worn out cells to be repaired. I release the old and welcome the new. My cells communicate with love. I trust the process of life. These are all up to going down to 600. These are all of the words, and words with, combined have a certain frequency. These are all the ones that she is drawn to, that she is being drawn to, that resonate with her. I dissolve all past problems with ease. This is a new moment. I breathe freely and fully. I choose to enjoy my life. I am the joy of life giving and receiving. I create peaceful experiences. Clarity and harmony are within me. All is well in my world. All is well. I create a life filled with rewards. And this one feels like it's needed too. My cells easily regenerate as needed. So, all affirmations within themselves could do all of the healing and clearing. Let's see if there's anything else we want to check just right here. I think the next thing to really check on is actually the autoimmune. And so I want to go to autoimmune assessment. And there's also even antibodies here, autoimmune assessment antibodies. And there's really that autoimmune treatment is really lighting up for her. Let's go ahead and go to autoimmune assessment and see what comes up here. So we've got an underlying infection, a couple of them. So there's probably, it might not be these viruses, but some type of an infection. So clean up the gut, go on a starch-based plan that I described, and I can certainly help you to embrace that and understand what that's all about. And then that will help you to overcome the viruses, but there is an underlying infection, some type of physical trauma. Let's go down to the bottom here. Anti-rheumatoid factor, vitamin D deficiency, chronic inflammation. I'm just trying to get a sense of what autoimmune piece. I just want to look at these antibodies. Now, these are not a lab test, you guys, but I just want to see how much he's resonating. This has to do with the thyroid. This could be a gluten reaction, but I doubt all of the problems are related to gluten. We're not getting anything else really significant there. Let's see what autoimmune treatment comes up. This is the one we just did before. Okay, there's that ashwagandha. Not a huge fan of oil, so I'm not going to actually include it. I need to adjust some of these. So, but you could use flaxseed and acidophilus, so helping the gut, scutellarias for helping to calm down. There's the sign of the inflammation, sort of similar to the last case. Bifidus, magnesium, DHA. We still haven't really sort of hit the nail here, because I really thought it might have been an autoimmune antibody that might have shown up here, but we're not seeing that. So I think it is some type of an autoimmune reaction that is making the hair, that is affecting at the follicle itself. And it's sort of combined with menopause, and low estrogen is not great for hair in general, for holding the energy of the hair. One thing you could work on is the yin energy. That's another thing that probably needs a lot of support. We have low yin or yin deficiency at the time of menopause. So one thing that you can use is there are some menopausal panels. Let's go ahead and let's look at this. Let's see, menopause, yin deficiency. And this is something you'd probably go to your acupuncturist for a little bit more assistance with, but it'll tell us the different types of yin deficiency that are affecting the field, if there is one at all. We've got some lung yin deficiency, so better breathing, more breathing exercises could be really helpful. And let's look at lifestyle and see what's coming up here. Adrenal imbalance, stress management needed. There's another one I have that's sort of more of an experimental panel, but let's go ahead and look at the hair loss. There's a hair or hair regrowth panel, and let's go ahead and look at that one. Yeah, there you go. It says autoimmunity is the root cause, which is exactly what I just said before about the follicle. There may be an autoimmune. I would do a digestive cleanse, the one that I talked about, and be really, really strict on it. And I think it probably would need to go over it with you, because even though I say it on air and on the people really don't understand it, and they're like, oh, I'm doing that already, but I'm still having X, Y, and Z, and it's not doing it correctly, and that will make a difference. So we've got some silica deficiency, toxic root canal, or maybe some type of dental infection, hypothyroidism, iron deficiency, a couple of things going on there, but I don't think they're really like the root cause. Let's go here and let's ask good old innate intelligence for more information. All right, so what this tells us, since all these affirmations percolate to the top, they kind of tell us that thinking, that changing your thinking can be part of the resolution. So the affirmation, all is well in my world, a methylation issue, if you did nothing else, you could just go out and get some methylated B vitamins and some, start eating more beets, but it's not, it's not, you have to get the total food plan correct overall. You have to stop eating the foods that are poisoning you. So I am the joy of life, I am the joy of life, giving and receiving. I dissolve all past problems with ease. And so it's just a lot of really good affirmations coming up. My cells regenerate easily as needed. My life is in perfect rhythm. I choose to enjoy life. You would do well to pre-record just affirmation after affirmation after affirmation and just play them all day long and just sort of get yourself like soaking in a bath of positive words. And you need to just soak your whole field in that positivity. And that will give your body a tremendous amount of support and help to ease that pressure on your immune system, which is causing the autoimmune disruption. So let's harmonize these and let's see some of your comments here. Okay. Yes, I agree with Diana. I kept saying emotional trauma is the root cause. Thyroid and wireless radiation entangled deeply for RF sensitivity. I do agree with you, Cheryl. I'm glad you're here. I like your insight on the EMFs. I do think, recently, even though I don't sleep with Wi-Fi on, I still moved it from an inner bedroom, and I actually ran a wire, it's such a pain, all the way out to the garage, and I put the router in there. I mean, you should think about your router as being like a biohazard. You should put the router, think about it as if somebody was smoking a cigarette in your home and that was your wireless router. And you should put your wireless router as far away from human beings as possible. It sounds crazy, but again, I don't think it's the root cause. My suspicion is that the root cause is the food that is poisoning the body and a deeper emotional trauma, which could prevent one from really truly embracing a healthy food plan. So that's what we're kind of working with. Let's go ahead and look at the aura, and we can do oil on points for fun, and we're going to get to our final case. So I know some of you may need to hop off, and that is, I won't be insulted at all, but so I think we're going to be on until about actually 15 minutes before the next hour. So that's my guess, but it'll be just a few more minutes on this case, and then we'll be going to the next case. Karen, I hope some of these insights are helpful in some way, and I hope they give you some upliftment or assistance or inspiration to use the genius more for a way to really look at these things. We're going to go next. In this case, we'll do some releasing emotional patterns, and this is really another wonderful way, in addition to the flower essences, to really help the person, facilitate the person to tell their story. Well, we're having a wonderful, wonderful release here. This is really good and bodes well for the physical issues. And this thing around the brain and the head, this higher chakra, this literally could be that emotional block. So we're just sort of getting through. It's like part of the being is going there and this other part is going, no, either it's not correct or no, I don't need to do that. Or there just might be sort of like a delay here in really getting the mind, body, spirit, mental being, all those things lined up. So we got that. And then let's go back and we're going to go to another panel actually first, which is called Releasing Emotional Patterns or Young Living Oil on Point. So we're going to type in the word Young Living and we're going to get that point. This is another panel going back to the question, I think from Barbara, this is purchased separately. This is a really powerful panel that has a lot of frequencies in it. And I know it's here, hang on. So maybe it's not. Young living oils. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it because I don't have it on this device. Points, I got the affirmations. I can't do it because I don't have that one imported on this device yet, but that's really weird. This is a new device, but that doesn't make sense. Oh, I know what I have to do. I have to put in the codes again. So I can't do that right now, but what I can do is I can do the flower essences. So let's go ahead and get those. And they're actually resonating in red, so that's good. It's the only thing about that panel. Okay, so we've got a bunch coming up here. We've got aspen, sweet chestnut, mustard, vervain, honeysuckle, chestnut bud. Chestnut bud is about repeating the same mistakes over and over and really wanting to make a powerful change. So let's see where that shakes out with regard to the case. And then we've got these, so we're going to go ahead and pop in there and see what is the next prioritization and what are some of the flower essences. All right, so we've actually got some infections popping up here, which is interesting. So that's interesting that they kind of emerge there. Kidney stress is like sort of related to adrenals being overtaxed. And I would definitely get high protein out of the diet if the kidneys are overtaxed. You want to remove those high protein foods. Then we've got aspen, and that is the #1 flower essence that came up here. So aspen is triumphing over the fear of unknown things. So there sort of might be a fear. Kidneys can be about fear too. Urinary tract infection can be about fear. The aspen is a tree that is smaller than most. Its growth pattern has been known to cause the leaves to quiver at the slightest breeze. Vague, unknown fears for which there can be no clear explanation, no reason. It's a terror. Something awful is going to happen even though it's unclear what exactly. These vague, inexplicable fears may haunt night or day. Sufferers may be even afraid to tell their trouble to others. So there might just be something from one's past that's causing that fear to reemerge. Excess fat consumption, and then the need to balance the gut. And I've got all the A's in here. Agrimony. Agrimony, overcoming a tendency to hold back sadness and put on a happy face. The jovial, cheerful, humorous people who love peace and are distressed by argument or quarrel, to which they avoid and will agree to give up much. Though generally they have troubles and are tormented and restless or worried in mind and body, they hide their cares behind their humor and are considered very good friends to know. They often take alcohol or drugs in excess to stimulate them and to help them bear their trials with cheerfulness. So that could be a passing energy. It could be something that's not significant. It could be significant. It's just a conduit. It's just an energy release on these. Okay, we're going to be, we need to do one more harmonizing here, and then we're going to be heading on to our next case. Infection, Diana says, is about feeling invaded. Why are we not seeing your screen, only the genius? I only see you. You guys give me a heads up on what you're seeing on the screen. Do you guys see the genius on the screen, or do you only see me? Let me know down in the chat area. Let's see. So you could use the neuro remedy for affirmations. It's a good idea. All right, so there we go. See you and the genius, I see both. So whoever said that, you may need to wiggle around a little bit. I guess it's Beatrice. Beatrice may need to wiggle around a little bit on your screens. And so this is a good positive reaction. One of them might be minimized. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sure what's going on there. So let's go to the aura and let's retest the aura. So the aura is giving us feedback in real time about how she's changing and responding to the frequencies. And let's go ahead and see what happens here. And then we're going to just do one more, what I call the drill down. And then we're going to get to the next client, which is, I believe, a case of diabetes. So if diabetes or blood sugar is something that you're interested in, then you may want to stay tuned for that. Okay, so we've got, this is sort of an intermediary aura. When you get this is sort of like the person's doing a lot of processing right now. And that's why you see things are sort of all over the place. So it's not really like an ending aura. It's like more of a like intermediary where they're sort of working through stuff and taking in the frequencies and doing some shifting and changing. So we go back here and then we drill down one more time. And now it says based on the past information, now this comes up to the top. So it says there's definitely some emotional piece, vitamin D, the red chestnut, inflammation, silica, which definitely helps with hair growth, by the way. So that may be something like nettles or silica. you want to look into, but it's not going to be the only thing. We got to do the emotions and the food part. That's going to be what makes the difference. I know this is a biofeedback class, and again, biofeedback could give you the strength and it could give you the awareness, but it's not going to be the permanent resolution. It's a piece that can support you even while you're making the change, and it can be revelatory. It can help to reveal things. But it's mind, body, and spirit. We are living in a three-dimensional world, so we have to be realistic about these things. Red chestnut, we do see this a lot in our healers, and I think you mentioned that you are a healer, or Tammy did. So over concern for the welfare of loved ones, for those who find it difficult not to be anxious for other people. Often they've ceased to worry about themselves, but are very, very busy worrying about others. So a few more affirmations here: the adrenal imbalance, food addiction. I don't see another, I see only flower essence. That's kind of interesting. All right, so we're going to let that harmonize. Thanks you guys for letting me know you can see everything. I appreciate that. And we're going to be moving to a diabetes type 2 with severe sciatica, acute kidney failure, upper body edema, shortness of breath, inflammatory bowel disease, and ulcerative colitis. Just looking at the case, it sounds like we have to stop eating some of the foods that are poisoning us, and I really do want to review those foods with you. So we're going to get started on that in just a minute, but it'll be interesting to see. I do love seeing based on physical symptoms, what are the things that are resonating on the genius itself. So we'll get to see some of that. Karen, again, I hope some of this was helpful in some way. And I do think that harmonizing in general can be very, very helpful and revealing, and it can help you to work on yourself as well. Just work on these different emotional aspects, and that can really help you sort of to be more connected to yourself. And I think that'll be really helpful. So let's go ahead and let's go back to the aura. And again, these are just 1 minute harmonizing, because when you're getting it right, when you're hitting it out of the park, then just 1 minute can be super, super powerful. So let's go ahead and take a look here and see what we've got in the end here. And then we'll compare all of them and sort of wrap up and move on to the next case. Okay, what has happened here is we've moved into the inception or the beginning phases of a deeper digestive cleanse. So this is really the liver, the gallbladder. If you gave a colonic, you'd probably see a lot of this moving around, the energies. So this is really encouragement to continue to pursue digestive assistance and any type of food change that you're ready to embark on. So that's what's happening here. So this wouldn't be, again, like an ending point. This would be like a middle point. And but I think things are good. They're in process. I think we are having movement. We've got some beautiful divine energy coming in here. And this is the release. This could be that they realize what the issue is, and there's new willingness to move forward. So that's what a lot of this release is in here. Okay, so thank you. Let's just do a quick recap and just see where we've come from. So I have to turn this off. Sorry, I have to talk and chew gum at the same time. That can be hard. So let me just go ahead and do the ones that we did for her and look at those. It was sort of going on. Let me just get it turned back on. It was sort of like this is where we started, and almost looks like we ended up in the same place. We got here. This almost reminds me of like deep physical goo and mud and stuff like that. That pink is very much indicative of physical ailment. And then we see some blockage over here, but there's good movement. And then this one, the emerald green moving in. This one and this one is really good. This one, we did a lot of harmonizing, but then the end point, we almost moved into the deeper layer here. So now we're ready to really get into the juicy. So a lot, very, very receptive to the energies, very, very receptive field, ready for those. I do think that the biofeedback, the resonance biofeedback can do a tremendous amount of good here. And I think she's very, very much in a positive response state to those energies. So I just got to queue up the next case, and we're going to get started. I guess, Molly, if you're there, you might want to get close to your microphone to see if we're actually able to talk with you. And this is a case of diabetes and a lot of really wonderful, physical challenges for us to look at here. All right, so now we've got that one queued up. I've actually, entered them before class. So let's see if Judith, I know you're there as well. Let's unmute you guys and see if you're there.
Okay, come over here, Molly. Hi. Molly's coming. Hi.
Okay, well, Molly, let's go ahead and record your voice. I'm going to cue you, and I'm going to have you record your voice to say your name and then A-E-I-O-U. I'm going to start recording in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
My name is Molly Waller, A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I-O-U.
Okay, that's perfect. So Molly, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on and what your greatest hope for healing is? If you could do anything, you could snap your fingers and make something happen, what would you make happen for what you're hoping to manifest?
Well, I would love to have some of my pain go away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in severe chronic pain with my spine, and I get severe pain down my left leg.
And how long has this been going on for?
Off and on since I was 18, and I'm about 40 now, almost 40.
Some of this started when she was 3. She was hit by a car.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Thrown up in the air and hit the pavement and bounced back up and all that stuff. It was awful.
All right, well, let's get started on this, and we'll see what we see, and we'll come back and talk about it. All right, thanks for being here, you guys. So just starting with the aura, and not seeing a lot, but I do see some darkness sort of up here, and I see some blockage possibly down here as well, although that could be a release. It's really hard to say. But let's do an overall on this. So let's go ahead and it's interesting about the chakras are kind of depleted here. So there's definitely a past injury. There's a past sort of emotional trauma that I'm sure that she's been working on for the majority of her life. 3 years old, very young, could feel threatened safety, threatened security. That could be in there. You may want to look into the cellular freedom technique work that I do. The only way to really deal with these for good, they were meant for us to learn from them and then release them. So the only way to really overcome them is we can relive them, talk about them, sort of explore through the process I call, is this true? What they meant to us, what they mean to us cognitively, and then we do a forgiveness and we do a restructuring of them where the accident didn't happen. And then we let that be our new referential point. Because we know the accident happened, we know that we overcame it, but what's the point to keep going back and, oh, I had this accident, oh, I had this accident. It's meant for us to learn and then move on. So once we've learned, we go back and we restructure our lives energetically as if the accident had never happened, so that our new framework becomes safety, security, I'm taken care of, everything's okay. But that's not the referential point right now, and that was never meant to be permanent. It's just that we have an experience, we learn from it, and then we move on, we heal it. That's the whole goal of life. All right, so interesting that the chakras seem kind of balanced here, but the brow chakra, the one opening up to intuition, so forth, is kind of closed or depleted or something, but the other ones are good. Saying heavy metal toxicity, blood sugar is an issue. So we said diabetes type 2 here. Let me see if I can move this iPad a little bit. All right, there we go. So let's go down here, see if we discover anything here. Connective tissue, adrenal, infection. I'm just not seeing anything that's jumping out at me. Let's go to the healing chronic cases and let's look at this one as a comparison to the other one. So let's hop into the libraries. First of all, we could see which libraries come up at the top, right? And this is going to take a second here. It's going to switch around. I think, yeah. Okay, so voice healing. Oh, I'm not going to include those. Hormonal conditions, cancer prevention, emotional clearing, GI health, Let's just do GI health and see if there's any underlying infections going on in the gut. You can actually see kidney stress in the face in that picture. There's some kidney stress, sort of looks like water retention. And I'd say the number one, if I didn't know anything about the case, the number one recommendation is going to be the same. Sounds like a broken record. I do apologize. But first of all, if there's any meat, chicken, fish, eggs consumption, cheese, those need to go away because there's a huge amount of stress on the kidneys right now, and protein is the biggest stress on the kidneys. If you go back and you look at the work of Walter Kempner, who did the rice diet in North Carolina for the better part of 30 years in the early part of the last century, he took people who had chronic kidney failure and nursed them back to life by feeding them rice, fruit, and fruit juice. And sometimes he had to feed them white rice because there was so much protein in regular brown rice that it overwhelmed their kidneys. So we have to withdraw all of the protein stress on the kidneys. The kidneys are processors of protein. And you really, let's look at that actually. Because last year I developed some really fun panels for functional kidney health. Now we didn't really learn anything from the GI panel. It says that there's some candida, and it says secretory IgA is low, which is the immune system in your gut, which usually means a chronic stress. It does say amoeba histolytica, so there may be a gut infection at play here. But let's go to the kidney panel. I did this kidney functional panel last year, so that one looks like this one. Now let's look at the kidney functional assessment. It says kidney scarring is occurring. So for most people who eat the rich Western diet, they will get kidney scarring occurring over a lifetime. So the high protein diet, eating meat-based protein with breakfast, lunch, and dinner means that we're injuring our kidneys over the course of a lifetime. Kidney gravel, so it looks like there's the beginning of kidney stones. Clear out crystals, again, that's sort of the kidney. The kidney needs a cleanse, and it needs the food poisoning needs to stop. Perfect renin balance, keep what is needed. That's what the kidney does. It keeps what's needed and it releases what is not needed. Perfect blood pressure regulation, optimal renal interstitium. Try to see just what's affecting the kidneys. Include improved glomerular function. So these are good because they will help the kidney energetically. Kidney vasculature affected by diet. So there are tiny microvascular, like the smallest little vessels in the body are in the kidneys and in the eyes. And that is why kidneys and eyes are affected through diabetes or through different types of illnesses that impair the circulation of the body, because they can't get that circulation. They can't push that blood flow through the pumping of the heart. They can't push nutrition and oxygen to those tiny little vessels. Reduce the protein burden, which is what I just said. Improve microvascular flow, clear uric acid, have the perfect filtration rate. So all of these are good. They're sort of informing us about what the issue with the kidney is, like what its current state is energetically, but they're also pushing frequencies to help to improve the kidney function. Whether this happens or not, remember, this is all energetic. We make no claims about whether it will or not. And if we keep eating food that's poisoning the body, then it's very likely that it won't be truly successful. Become more flexible. That's an energetic kidney thing, is about the will. So inflexibility will inevitably result in stress on your kidneys. Remember, kidneys, like bladder, peeing, this is about going with the flow. This is about water balance. Excess scarring from excess caffeine. Kidney vascular is affected by salt. Kidney nutrition needs improvement. That's for borderline there, but I'd say it's probably a big issue. So you kind of see some of the things about the kidneys here. And then we can do a kidney assessment. This is a little different. This is sort of less functional and more pathological. This tells us that there's some uric acid. Tells us that there's an underlying bladder infection, inflammation. The glomerular filtration rate needs some help. Then we can do kidney solutions or kidney remedies, which is right here. So what are the solutions that would help the kidneys? It gives us some herbs and things to do here. And we also just run these as frequencies. It says some lemon juice, the Moritz kidney tea, which is by Andreas Moritz. You can buy it online. It's a wonderful collection of kidney herbs. Got all of these UNDA numbers, which are combined drainage remedies that help the kidney function. But again, you have to correct the food first. Otherwise, this stuff won't stick. Frequency or herbal intervention won't really stick. Now, I wanted to look at the blood sugar. I am developing some diabetes panels, but I've always done them through just assessing blood sugar. So if you have diabetes, you can just use these blood sugar panels. So we have blood sugar assessment. Let's see what we've got going on here. This sort of tells us about why, the things around the blood sugar issue. So we've got high C-reactive protein. This is an inflammatory marker. We're leptin resistant. We've got adipose, so we need to lose weight. That's really important here because the tissue of the fat is blocking the insulin receptors. Sort of hoping to get more out of this one. Here's a frequency treatment. This could tell us about the metaphysical aspects of the issue. So I derive sweetness from life means the person is reaching to derive more sweetness from life. Cells receptors, we want the cells to be more receptive to insulin. We want healthy insulin sensitivity. We'd like to run the frequency for a healthy pancreas. We'd like optimal glucose regulation. We'd like harmonious digestion. The metabolic functions of my body are harmonious, optimal leptin levels, happy metabolism. So we want to include all of those ingredients in there. The other thing that I wanted to look at is I do want to look at those global causes that we talked about, which was the healing chronic cases. And let's go ahead and look at that and see if we get anything. Because I'm not getting the essence of this case again. The food quality, we've got some funny sprayings in the sky that are affecting the person. We've got an underlying infection. We've got a challenge to the immune system, a skin issue, methylation issue, which means more B vitamins, more beets, a gut microbiome issue, a dental issue, got a lot of good juicy stuff going on here, gut toxicity, mother core release issue, a heart issue, colon cleansing needed, mineral deficiency, excess caloric intake causative, kidney infection causative, home toxicity, dust causative, hormonal support needed, interference needs cleaning. That might be from the accident to do some interference field clearing. We could talk about that. So then let's just do a quick digestive assessment. I mean, I think, again, these are all sort of connected, the ones that we did today. It's emotions, digestion, past trauma. Emotions, digestion, past trauma, about clearing that out. Got some GMO exposure, some candida, go down to the bottom. We may have a cyst going on here. We've got some enzyme deficiency, some candida, some parasites. So we really do need a digestive cleanse. We need to correct the digestive system to really, really help here. I would go on a starch-based plan and I would do it, right away. Get some B vitamins, you get some the beets, beets incorporated, eating a big salad every single day, abandoning processed food, only eating organic food, and don't have anything that had a mother or a face. No fish, no chicken, no oil, no eggs, just really delicious food. So I'm going to talk about that in a moment, what the delicious foods are, since it's hard for a lot of people to know that. All right, so a couple more pieces of information that we need here is wow, look at that. So that's interesting. So there's a lot of depletion. And of course, she talked about the sciatica. So let's go ahead and look at some of that spinal energy. And then we want to look at the flower essences. So we've got a sacral blockage, L2. That would be around the sciatic region. Whoa, and then we've got all of these thoracics. So we need an osteopath or massage therapist or someone that can help definitely to open and clear some of these. Now, just running the biofeedback can be really, really helpful. So I would definitely be running the spinal energy every single day to really open all of that up. So there's a lot of the mid-back stuff that probably is very painful. And I probably would run the inflammation assessment as well, because there seems to be a lot of inflammation going on here. So you can just type in inflammation. And one thing you could do is the assessment, and then the solutions would be good as well. So something's causing inflammation or EMF exposure. There's that yeast seems to be a big deal right now. Surgical implants, environmental allergies, hypertension, vaccination effects, oxidative stress, parasites, and heavy metals seem to have come up before. Let's get those flower essences in the mix because they are really instrumental. None of this stuff is as important, you guys, as the emotions. And one thing I don't usually do in class, but you could definitely do, is run the emotions panel. I don't know why these just don't seem logical in this order. But anyway, here's the flower essences right here. And then here's the emotions. Now, when you're working with your client directly, you want to be really careful about running this panel because they'll inevitably look over your shoulder and feel like a level of embarrassment or a level of like, being revealed. And so this means like love is something the person wants to have more. They want to have more empathy. They may experience disgust, frustration, remorse. They want to have more gratitude. So having more gratitude could be, doing a little gratitude every day could be helpful. Fear, sorrow, embarrassment, awe. So I don't always tell people everything that's coming up for them, but you could if you want to. You say it in a very tender way. Oh, this is stuff, this is the human condition. This is kind of stuff that comes up for all of us. But you're actually releasing a tremendous amount of blocked energy. And sometimes it's the release of this blocked energy that gives people the positive permission to make and catalyze that change that they're trying to make. So then we can do the flower essences, which are the Bach flower essences, which really are about humanity has a lot of common issues. And so that's really telling the whole sort of the story of the human condition through the flower essences and then releasing these core emotional pieces. Again, it's about releasing trapped energy, you guys. The body is a self-organizing system. The most natural state of the body is to be well. We have to work really, really hard to make the body unwell. And it's the subtle taps that restore energy to the body. All right, so now we've got 121 items in there. Out of 121 items, let's see what percolates to the very top of the picture. And it tells us the flower essence clematis. So to go look here at clematis. Dreaming of the future without working in the present. So not being grounded. Clematis can assist you in grounding you into the future so you can move in the direction of your dreams. Those who are dreamy, drowsy, not fully awake, no great interest in life. Quiet people, not really happy in their present circumstances, living more in the future than in the present, living the hopes of happier times when their ideals may come true. But this is moving that person beyond that so they can be grounded and they can move positively towards their dreams. Remember, the flower essence is never to criticize the person. It's really to help them to better understand themselves. And mimulus is about fear. Now that would go hand in hand with the kidney stuff. So whatever you can do spiritually to help yourself to have less fear, whether it's meditation or having a spiritual connection, knowing that you're cared for, knowing that everything is okay, that would be really, really helpful. Having some type of pursuing a spiritual awakening and establishing that spiritual part for yourself. Maybe it's the goddess energy, maybe it's Buddhism, but mimulus is fear of known things, fear of worldly things, illness, pain, accidents, poverty, of the dark, of being alone. So just sort of all of these known things, the fears of everyday life. These people quietly and secretly bear their dread. They do not speak freely of it to others. So that could be definitely getting under your skin and affecting how you're feeling. I can completely understand that. And chronic fear affects the energy of the kidneys. And then having chronically irritated kidneys can cause you to be more worried. Well said, Ari. Diet, nothing with a mother or a face. Lovely. Thank you. And thanks so much, Cheryl, for being on today. I really appreciate your comments today. I love that the meridians can progress to specific points and that you can get a specific list of correlations when you press on the icon. It is spot on. I don't know how that relates to what we're talking about today, but good on you, Penelope. Love it. So Sherry says, what about the dermatomes? That's a great idea, especially with all of the injuries and the sciatica. That's a really fabulous idea because there could be viruses in there. So we had a nice result. Let's go ahead and let's do those dermatomes and see what comes up. So the dermatomes, we see where in the spinal nerve the energy is blocked, and I'm sure there's a lot of correlation to the actual spinal segment itself. L3, a lot of the sacral stuff is coming up there. So, and then that lower back stuff, I really recommend either it's like yoga and you learn to do sun salutation, even if it's just one thing in your living room or your bedroom, you watch it on YouTube. A lot of people are intimidated to go to yoga classes, right? Do it from YouTube in your bedroom and just learn some basic stretches. Nobody else should, interfere with your ability to heal yourself. So go to YouTube or go to the osteopath or go to the massage therapist, some body work, definitely to open up the energy or at least run the spinal energy. So then we've got the viruses. Let's see if there's any viruses in the dermatomes. And we've got the herpes simplex virus 1. We've got an latent infection in the nerve root. Well, that was pretty good thinking, Sherry. I like it. So we've got all of these viruses sort of in the nerve root. We've got a chronic infection sort of as part of the whole picture. That would be good to clear out. All right. And then we've got some virus solutions. These would be good energies to clear the infection. And that could definitely be interfering with everything else. This could be causing more inflammation. It could be causing more fatigue. It would be causing sort of like the apathy feeling. And we've got all of these immune boosters. We've got elderberry, peppermint, lomatium, English marigold. This will all help the virus. The viral phytogen, if you guys haven't gotten the phytogen panel, that's really powerful. And the berries that are in there are very, very good at boosting the immune system. So let's see, I have like 150 items, which is the top item that's coming up here. The spinal energy and surgical implants. I don't know, were there any pins or anything placed at the time when there was the car accident? Or does that legitimately seem like that makes sense? The energy of a happy pancreas, cleansing the kidneys. Look for that Andreas Moritz kidney tea online. Then there's not a lot of flower essences that are coming up here. It's all of this physical stuff. We've got pride, sorrow, parasites are coming up, chemtrail chemicals, how fun. Rebounding, skin brushing would be good for the lymphatic system. There is a huge need for the lymphatics to get some help. So you guys, in just a moment, I'm going to talk to you about the food plan. I'm going to do a quick run through and we'll sort of tie everything together with a nice bow in just a moment. See if you have any other, I meant that running the meridians can really give information. I don't find those points to be very accurate in their descriptions, but I totally applaud you, Penelope, for using them. What is a spinal cord stimulator? No, opening up the energy at the spinal roots, at the nerve roots. Molly has had back surgery. That's terrible. We have to keep the back mobilized as much as possible. I understand that probably could come from I would really recommend checking out my cellular freedom technique, and I would go back and do get all the frustration out that's still left, the residue around the injury. And then you need to do the restructuring in the cellular freedom technique. You need to remember that day that the accident didn't happen. And that needs to that's called time travel. And you need to re-experience your whole life through the lens that the accident never happened. Because we've already learned the lesson. And that's done through a visual imagery technique called cellular freedom technique. And that really could help to bring a new reference point and help this reverse remembering, which is holding the cellular trauma within the body. All right, so let's do one more peek at the aura. The food is the biggest thing, you guys, so that's when we're gonna just look at this really quickly. Everybody can download this for free. It's not mine, it's someone else's, but it's one of the most brilliant things that I've ever seen. And really every naturopath should have gotten this first day. The problem with my naturopathic training is it does not teach people to eat the correct foods. This is a beautiful and celebratory piece going on here. I think your spirit is one that is resilient, Molly, and I think that genuinely wants to heal with all of your heart. And you see this really unique, like bubblegum, beautiful, bright energy coming in here. And I think that's your true nature. But let's get your food correct and help you in any way that we can. maybe we should make that appointment then and really talk about some of the issues and really, really help you to get better, because I know that you want to. So thank you for being part of class today, and we'll talk soon. I want to bop back to the main screen for a second. I just want to take you through this. Thanks for hanging in there, you guys. What I want to do is take this down here. Okay, you guys can download this link. It's called Dr. McDougall's Color Picture Book, and it talks about what food poisoning is. I'm going to do a greater lecture on this, but I just want to give you the sort of the nuts and bolts of it, you guys. Naturopathic doctors are not taught correctly because they're taught that people should eat meat in the anti-inflammatory plan. That's not correct. So let's try to roll through this. This is the result of, over 40 years of Dr. McDougall's work. And I've been doing this since, I entered school in 1998. So that's 20 years. I graduated 2002. So I've been practicing now for like 17 years. That seems impossible, but I've taken a really long road from fasting, raw vegan foods, anti-inflammatory diet, juicing, sprouted foods, and then anti-inflammatory, autoimmune, paleo, all of these things, you guys. There's one food that humans are meant to eat and that will help people, whether they have kidney disease or they have diabetes or they have sciatica or they have their hair falling out. They need to know the right food to eat. This is the food that humans were meant to consume. I'm going to put this link down in the chat area. I recommend that everybody just, download this. It's completely free, and share this with all the people that you love. I definitely challenge people to do this for 21 or 30 days and not have their condition improve. So this should be one of the first things, in addition to biofeedback, that we help people to understand. So let's just go through this really quick. You forget about being reasonable, sensible, prudent, or moderate. You can't. You must fix the food. Okay, moderation does not work for changing life-destroying habits. A cigarette smoker never quits by cutting down. We have to just say no to the foods that are poisoning you and your family. Now, there's a huge confusion about what that poison is, so I just want to explain that, okay? So this is what I'm going to go through really, really fast. This is the food that humans were meant to eat. These are starches. Starches, potato, sweet potato, even bread, whole grain bread, pasta, oats. If these kinds of foods, when they're served to you, they make your mouth water, there is a reason for that, because these are the foods that you were meant to eat. And these are the foods that people have been eating in the breadbasket of the world, and in Ireland, potatoes, and in the Middle East, all types of delicious whole wheat and grains have been eating for, and in China, they've been eating rice for literally thousands of years. So starches are plant parts that store large amounts of energy for daily activities. And this is the problem when people go plant-based. They do not eat enough starch, and this is why they feel depleted or not satisfied. If you ate these foods all day long, had a wonderful sweet potato or potato, your tummy would feel real full real fast. They're very low in fat with no cholesterol. So fat, like oil, impairs your circulation and causes chronic illness and damage to the endothelial lining of your blood vessels. These are rich in protein. There's protein and fat in every one of these foods that you see here. There's a little bit of fat in potatoes. There's a little bit of fat in sweet potato. It's all the fat that you need. So the starches make excellent foods to satisfy your appetite. They make you trim, strong, and healthy. So think about people in Asia, in China, who eat rice all day long. Do they get fat? It's not the starch. It's not the carbs in those foods. It's the fat and other foods that we consume along with them. So it's not the potato, it's the sour cream and butter that people put onto the potato. These are non-starchy vegetables that are good to eat and important to eat for phytochemicals. A good way to think about phytochemicals and eating the rainbow, you guys, is when you take in blueberries and all these colorful foods and vegetables, the red peppers, they contain pigments, which are called phytochemicals, which absolutely nourish our body and give us a lot of wonderful things. And then when they come out the other end, they no longer have that coloring. That's because we took the coloring into our field and into our body, and that's the value of phytochemicals. But these, you only need a few of these to be truly healthy. This needs to be the majority on your plate. You could put a lot of vegetables to fill your tummy if you're trying to lose weight, but you need to eat starches to feel satisfied. Otherwise, if you think this is your vegan diet or your plant-based diet, you won't do it long term because you won't feel full. You need these foods to feel full and to give you nourishment, fiber, to sustain yourself. Fruits are great, but we don't want to gorge on food. But if anybody's making a transition diet, I don't really care if they eat a lot of fruits. We just want to get off the foods that are poison. The following foods are poison. They are not meant for human consumption. This is not food. That's why it has a red traffic light. If you're still eating this guy, you want to stop, because all animal foods will precipitate an autoimmune reaction. That is proven. They will decimate your cardiovascular system by destroying the endothelial lining of your body. All animal foods are full of cholesterol. They're the only legitimate source of saturated cholesterol except for coconuts. With no starch, dietary fiber, or essential sugars for health. They are infiltrated with big doses of people poisoning, environmental chemicals, and loads of infection-causing bacteria, parasites, and viruses. So this is not food. So people are sick and they get diabetes not from carbs because they eat like the kings and queens. They eat a rich diet that causes them to get sick. All right, food poisoning causes obesity, it causes diabetes. Food poisoning causes heart disease. That means when you eat something that had a mother face, you eat eggs or you eat dairy or oil. You could be vegan. If you eat oil, you're going to be just as unhealthy. Okay, these foods cause heart disease. They damage the endothelium. They cause arthritis and autoimmune conditions. Food poisoning causes the loss of body parts for cancer. There is so much evidence that eating lower on the food chain, eating starches and vegetables, gives you one of the lowest risks of cancer because it has the lowest cholesterol. And oxidized cholesterol has been shown to be associated with cancer. So lower your cholesterol and then you can wear one of those fun pink ribbons and actually do something significant. Food poisoning causes reflux and ulcers and gallbladder disease, which is why if you want to have a better gallbladder, start eating this way. It causes constipation. You eat this way, you will never have a problem with a bowel movement. If you go on the keto plan, you might as well just, move your office into your bathroom area because you're going to be there a lot. All right, this is a surefire cure, you guys. If you don't believe it, then have the courage just to do it for yourself for 21 or 30 days. And if any of the 3 people online here do not get significantly better from switching to this way of eating, I'll give you 100% your money back from today. But just try it for 21 days. It's the only way you're going to know, you guys. And if you need help, I'll hold your hand and help you through it. So there's a few more things, but I just want to show you the red traffic lights. Do not eat this. This is poison. Do not eat this. This is poison. Chicken, turkey, ducks. Do not eat this. This is poison. There's no evidence to show that eating fish is necessary or beneficial. And because of what we've done to our oceans, fish are full of chemicals and they can contribute to that autoimmune reaction and the kidney strain. Do not eat shellfish. Again, all red traffic lights. Do not eat eggs. Do not eat milk, one of the hugest allergenic foods on the planet. Should never have been fed to people as being human food. Do not eat cheese. This is also something that can cause a lot of autoimmune reaction and hugely full of fat, like, solid fat. You're just consuming pure fat. So if you have a weight issue or you have a heart issue, and if you have a diabetes issue, it's because your diet is too rich. The food is too rich. So this has to come out. Do not eat butter or margarine or Earth Balance or Smart Balance. Get the oils out because they injure the endothelial lining and prevent you from having good circulation. And you want the best. You want to demand having the best circulation you can have so your brain always gets lots of circulation and you don't have Alzheimer's or dementia in your later years. Okay, and then we don't eat a lot of fake meats, although I don't, have a problem for people who are transitioning. Don't eat vegetable oils like corn oil, flax oil, olive oil, safflower oil. Don't eat coconut oil. Oil in your body basically damages the endothelial lining and it slows the circulation to your kidneys, to the microvasculature, and it slows the circulation to your eyes for a significant amount of time, and it injures and damages the cell lining, the inner lining of your vessels. So you don't need any fat, just eat the food that it comes from. If you like olive oil, eat olives. If you like coconut oil, eat real coconuts. And if you have a weight issue, the last thing that you want to do is consume oil, because the fat you eat is the fat you wear. Any food, oil that you eat almost gets converted immediately to fat, because the chemical conversion takes very little energy. Whereas converting something like a sweet potato or a potato to fat takes a lot more cellular energy. In fact, it uses up some of the energy from the calories that you consumed. Okay, so there are many, many diet gurus out there who I always wonder if they're being paid off by the food industry, because what they're saying is so ridiculous and so stupid and so harmful. So these are the foods that you want to eat. You want to eat starches. Okay, they're called the caloric engines of human civilization. And if you look at this map, I know it's hard to see, so download the book. This is what we ate for thousands of years, okay? And I just want to quickly just show you, we ate sweet potatoes in South America for 5,000 years. We ate legumes in Americas and the Asian lands in Europe for 6,000 years. We ate millet in Africa for 6,000 years. We ate barley in the Middle East for 11,000 years. We ate rice in Asia and still do for 10,000 years. This is the food that caused our brain to grow and caused us to be able to thrive over time. Now, here's the green light foods, and then I promise we'll be done. Eat lots of cereal, cold cereal. These are the foods: wheat, rice, corn, millet. You can eat this. Eat lots of oatmeal. Eat lots of pancakes. Yes, you can have pancakes made without oil, dairy, or eggs, but this is actually literally a pancake that's made with some buckwheat and basically other ingredients that allow you to avoid putting oil into the pancakes, and they're delicious. And if these foods make your mouth water, that's because these are your foods. These are the only foods. You only have certain sensations on your tongue and digestive enzymes to basically digest starch. That's called amylase. Eat lots of hash brown potatoes made without oil. Eat lots of bean soups, incredible superfoods in legumes and beans. Eat lots of lentil soup. Eat lots of different vegetable soups. Eat lots of potatoes. You could live on potatoes. They are complete nutrient. There are people who've lived a year on potatoes and actually lost a significant amount of weight and thrived and never got tired of eating potatoes because they're so satisfying. They literally have all the human nutrition that you need. And rice does as well, except rice lacks vitamin A and vitamin C. So you'd have to put a little sprig of broccoli in there, and then you'd have a complete nutrition for human health. Who doesn't love mashed potatoes? So make your mashed potatoes, but just don't put oil or butter in them. They can be delicious. Put a little bit of some type of rice milk or something in there to make them more creamy. Eat lots of sweet potatoes. Eat lots. You can have bread. Eat lots of pastas. Have pastas galore with tomato sauce and different vegetables. So again, if these foods make your mouth water, these are your foods. Very few people, if you just showed them a boiled chicken, would say, I can't wait to eat the boiled chicken. You need salt and oil and tons of toppings that your body wants in order to feel satisfied. So you guys, I really challenge any of the people that we worked with today to come back and try this food plan for just 21 days. And in 21 days, your body could be free from pain. You could have lost weight. Your blood sugar will get completely better. This is the food to be beautiful and attractive and healthy for an absolute lifetime. And when used in combination with biofeedback, you will have a very happy, full, rich, successful life. And you can share that life with other people as well. So enjoy. I'm sure after this, you've probably gotten, it's making my mouth water, making me want lunch. So thank you guys very, very much for hanging in there for this time. This will be uploaded to YouTube. I'm sending you much love and appreciation. I sincerely hope that we helped and uplifted the people who were part of our volunteers today. And thank you for volunteering. We're sending you much love and energy for your healing, knowing that you absolutely will be truly victorious in your quest to heal yourself. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye for now.